Okay, so we got another story here from Ruby Chrod on Reddit. Don't know why I assume it was Welsh.
Chlod.
It's called...
That was Welsh. Chlod. Ruby Chrod.
Ruby Chrod. It's called Farting on a Stranger's Child. I'm about 6'7", so even when I'm just trying to be friendly, i.e. not farting on a kid's head, and meeting a family member's or friend's kid for the first time, I've noticed they get very hide between their mother's legs, intimidated on sight if I'm not sitting down. So it's hard not for me to silence/intimidate a child, especially when I'm trying to.
This person finds their own height way harder than I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
I
aren't
think
people
6'7"
supposed to like
not-
really like being tall?
Yeah. 6'7's not that tall.
I'm like 5'10", so I'm basically at everybody's crotch height. I feel like that's the problem here.
So, however, a few times I've been called out. One time I was pretty drunk with a friend at a Target buying Risk. Great game. I know we've never finished playing the whole game. Yeah, same. This little Mexican 5 to 7 year old with a mohawk was being an unsufferable little in the action figure section. I heard him from like 5 aisles over, and it was like nails on a chalkboard. I told my friend, I want to fart on this kid's head. Watch and learn. I saunter over onto the aisle in question and see the vile little prick calling his mum an idiot for not buying him a huge f***ing G.I. Joe the movie vehicle, which pissed me off even more considering how awful the movie was. Buy some good toys. I already bought that one for you and you broke it by throwing it down the stairs. Shut up, I need it. It's the only one I don't have now. The mother was younger than me, I'm mid-20s, and gave a defeated look. I don't have enough money right now. You're an idiot! And continued to just berate and publicly shame this woman. At the time, I was on a strict Chipotle burrito diet, and while I was watching all this, my stomach gave me an initial warning gurgle. Very courteous stomach. Telling me I was about an hour away from punishing the toilet. Serendipity. Destiny.
This guy, yes.
I inch a bit closer to my prey, inspecting some wrestling toys and pondering the weird homoeroticness of the whole sport in general. The kid shouts, "F*** you, I hate you." The mum rolls her eyes and turns her back to the kid to ignore him. And could you believe it? The kid gets on his hands and knees and starts taking the toy out of the box. It's go time, motherfucker.
It's gone Co Brown, Defcon Poo. He's coming in.
I position my back towards him, and at this point, I'm like 2 feet away from him. I bend down to reach for one of the toys on the lower shelf. At this point, my ass is inches away from this kid's head. Now, generally speaking, the best way to go about this is to act casual, drop your belly bomb, then walk away after a few seconds like nothing's out of the ordinary. I usually go one aisle over and listen to the kid's reaction in delight. However, today I couldn't help myself. I have my head tilted back, looking at this kid out of the corner of my eye to ensure accuracy. My friend sees this happening and can no longer contain himself. He's covering his mouth, but his hee-haw hyperventilating donkey chortle is fairly audible over the late 90s pop muzak playing over the loudspeakers. The kid immediately looks up towards the laughter, but I can't help but notice there's an ass now directly in his face. Now I'm trying not to laugh, but also panicking, so I just made eye contact. He furls his brow and I look over this in the mother's direction, still back towards us. I relish in the moment and look at this child's face. A confused and naive face.
He needed to assess his victim afterwards.
The initial blast was mighty and boisterous. I swear I saw his hair blowing in the wind. If I wasn't wearing jeans, I think I'd probably blown over an empty soda can.
You know what I like about that? As modest and yet a real sort of, like
I would call it a very fun fart. A++ would buy again.
a very fun fart.
I mean, I get this because I've essentially done something quite similar.
He's
But
got,
you've got,
okay, but did you do it with like this purpose of like elbows jutted out, and then just like with purpose, just over you go? You're like, F- it, I'm having this kid. It's done.
I mean, so I would do much more just like a drive-by.
Well, that's much better and more of a gentlemanly thing
But
to do.
this kid was being a little
Yes.
I love that you just described that as the gentlemanly thing to do.
We're not savages here. A drive-by Brown.
So, what immediately followed that out of the chamber was truly horrifying. The fart's implication changed without notice, and swiftly, it went from a joyous, dry air horn squeal to a nefarious hissing mephitis. I think the little muppet noticed the hateful metamorphosis before even I did, because he's wrenched his neck violently, tried to get away from the personified evil being fumigated into his soul.
This guy's got like Socratean in his description of the.
Because of his positioning, hovering over the toy, hands and knee, it was all in vain, as the only way out was forward, and forward means certain death. I'd positioned myself well on the higher ground, free to escape.
Whoa, don't stop there. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Come on in. It's over, Anakin.
I have the higher ground.
Don't try it.
Oh my god.
I'd positioned myself well on the higher ground, free to escape or relent at any time, and him, poor and immobilized, biding his time until the cruel attack was over. Obviously, this child needed to reread Sun Tzu.
I love that. You and I just look at each other going, wait, what? Oh! There was Napoleon, there was Alexander the Great, and then there's this guy. What's he going to do? Annex a country with his ass?
Oh, man.
The long-term severe brain damage, which he no doubt suffered, only added to that effect. While I finished with my business, i.e. forcing a little boy to huff my farts, there was a silent, poignant pause. The kid was clearly shocked and stunned. No one had ever stood up to his dwarf sociopath in the whole life. I had taken the words out of his mouth and filled it with fart. I make my move first, picking up the toy I was reaching for off the low shelf, take a few steps forward and stare at it for a few seconds. The only this thing could manage to do was burst into tears. My friend sensed danger, the jig is up, and his head darts for cover. The mum turns around to see her kid with an open toy, crying on the floor, and me minding my own business. She walks up to him and asks, "What's wrong?"
So she not witnessed the entire thing?
She turned her back because the kid was being a little
Thing. Like, you left your family open to that.
She walks up to him and asks what's wrong, but the kid can't speak. All he gets out is, "Blah, blah, blah, fart, blah, blah, blah."
Do that again.
Blah, 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 fart, blah, blah.
I didn't know you could speak Hungarian.
It took every fibre in my body not to laugh. I put the toy back on a middle shelf, turned around, gave a final nonchalant look, and then began to take my exit. Sensing that his assailant was getting away scot-free, he somehow managed to compose himself for a moment. He shouts, "He farted on me!" I could feel him pointing at me, but as I continued to act like it was just a browsing, I was almost around the corner when the mum goes, "Excuse me, sir, did you just fart on my son?" Weighing my options, I played dumb. What? I mean, I did fart on my son? Well, I mean, technically speaking, what is on?
I can't follow his logic. It's like, did I fart? Yes. Is it in the air? Yes. Where did it land? Wherever it wanted to.
Why did you fart on my son? She asked. At
Why didn't you?
Why didn't you? At this point, the little kid has the look of Schadenfreude on his face. This guy's a poet, and I love it.
Yeah, he really is.
Happy to see me in trouble. You, I'm a man. I'll fart on you if I please.
Said with both fists placed firmly upon his hips.
I turned my attention to the little kid and stare at him because the whole store could hear him being a little rotten asshole to the mother. So I thought I'd come over here and treat him like one.
Wait, he said that to the mum?
He said that to the mum. Top boy.
Brave man.
The mum looks at me, her son, and the scattered G.I. Joe on the floor. The mum is puzzled as what to do next. Just Just go. And that's my cue. I turn around, walk away with a little extra step. I look up to see the Black Orb security cameras and all the stories on Reddit about unjustly having to register as a sex offender flash before my eyes. As soon as I turn the corner, I book it outside as fast as I can while dialing my friend. Like a true friend, he's right out front with the engine running and Risk in the trunk.
They got their game. That's the
It's like Baby Driver, but there's no guns, it's just arseholes.
We laugh on the car ride back about the whole scene. With a slight hint of seriousness in his tone, my friends ask me, "Do you do that a lot?" Not that much, like once every 6 months or so. We both knew I was lying. We got to our other friend's house and played Risk till 4 a.m. whilst drinking scotch. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty good day.
Successful,
Well
isn't he?
done.
I mean, he
Jesus.
went out to achieve something, he achieved it, and it sounds like he got away with it. Good for that, man.
Who was that by?
Just
Ruby Rod.
The Ruby Rod. Well
Ruby
played,
Rod,
sir.
dude. You taught that kid a lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the lesson
And gave him
was.
brains. Yeah.
The lesson
I
was
don't know.
close.
That's such a shocking thing for you to happen to anybody, that you forget what the initial interaction was about. I mean, next I want to hear somebody about coming on somebody and referencing Machiavelli the Prince.
Well, we've got a stack more stories to read, and that seems to be our calibre.
I wonder if that's what this guy does. He just reads like extremely hardcore tactical books that are written by these military leaders and politicians throughout history, and then applies a real world scenario to it in the 21st century
with his anus.
with his anus, or anybody's anus.
Anybody's anus.
Yeah.
I completely imagine this guy being like a doctor now. Or like some serious professor. And every now and again, like he's got a little student, a little Kevin, who'll just be like,
I can't stop thinking that the way that you read it and the way that it's written, that like that Ian McKellen, that this might have been
Oh,
him.
yeah. Oh, it's him and Sir Patrick Stewart together. Sir Patrick Stewart was the one in the car.
Wheeling. I know he's not really in a wheelchair, but
No,
wheeling
no,
away.
definitely, yeah. No, but it's the floaty chair at this point. You know.
It is, yeah.
Oh wow.